why I don't chase horses, or the benefit of guiding and directing horses opposed to pushing them away from pressure and energy, where that energy might be the energy from you or the pressure from an object like a waving rope or a flag or something like that. Now, a lot of people come to my clinics and they sort of go, oh, hang on a minute, that's a bit different to what I've been taught. So the why I teach it and the why and the benefits of doing it is, well, a long time ago, I was training horses and training a lot of really tough horses and nervous horses. And the one thing that you find what a horse does is they naturally, instinctively, when they're wild, when they're untrained, they want to move away from undesirable pressure. That's a common thing what they want to do. So you know, something scares a horse. If they're not going to freeze and stare at it, they're going to run away from it, move away from it, and that's how they release. That's how they get away from the pressure. They run over the hill where they're safe, and then they find a comfortable spot over there. So in training, there's a lot of ways that we end up making pressure and increasing that pressure, and then the horses move away from that pressure. And even in my training, there's sort of areas where I'll increase pressure until the horse finds a release to that pressure. But in the example of sort of what horses are seeing on the ground and visual and us working with them on the ground, if we create an environment where we're creating pressure and moving them away from that all the time, then they're finding a release from moving away from us and our pressure. And what I say to people that have been doing that a lot with their horses, I say, well, that's what they know when they're wild. They would have done that when they were wild. They would have seen you and been worried about you and moved away. So it's very easy to get them to move like that. But the problem is it creates I believe over time, a disconnection in our horses. The other thing to look at when you watch horse dynamics is if you see a horse in a herd push another horse away, it's to tell that other horse to go away. And if that horse tells that other horse to go away enough times, the other horse goes, well, okay, I understand. You want me to go away, or you want me to stay away. So that's another thing you got to think about. And though pushing a horse away does make that horse go away, and yes, it does motivate it to move its feet, the problem is the horse that gets pushed away always looks pretty unhappy about it. So we've got to think that, you know, if we're pushing our horses away and making them unhappy, then eventually, if we do too much of that, then that's going to erode the relationship we have. So what ends up happening is the horse goes, okay, I find release away from you or away from pressure. Now, sometimes that sets up. There's another subject which I'm going to talk about, which is pressure and release, where I'll go more into that. But yeah, it just sets up a disconnection with our horses. And one other important thing on that subject is if we're steering a horse with our pressure, which a lot of people tend to do on the ground, they'll create pressure and they'll push that energy into the horse will move away. Now, oftentimes we want a horse to go in a certain direction, and if the energy is coming from this side, what will happen is the thoughts of the horse will be towards the energy and its feet will moving away from the energy. So if your idea was to steer the horse away or steer it in a certain direction, the energy came from the opposite side, then you're only steering the feet in that direction. The thoughts are more focused on what's coming towards the horse. So the horse is actually potentially turning unbalanced. So that's another thing, that the reason I do it is because I want a horse to go towards their thoughts, not away from their thoughts or away from their focus. So towards their intention, not away from their focus. So that's another big reason why I don't like to use a lot of energy to push our horses away or moving them away from pressure all the time.